Greetings. Welcome to So Much to Talk About, the pregame version of Dallas Mavericks versus the New York Knickerbockers. My pleasure to have one of the wily veterans in the NBA, one of the best shooters in the league, and this man is the reason why the Mavericks continue to be perennial contenders, Mr. Jason Terry. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for the warm welcome too, man. Appreciate the love.
Yes, indeed. Much respect for how you play the game, and this season, has been pretty steady. Dirk was out for a little bit, but talk about how important is it to remain consistent and really put the pedals in the metal going into the second half.
Well, the reason why we stay optimistic and encouraged around here is because we've went through a stretch where we were injured and we lost 6 in a row. So that was the low point for the season thus far. We got off to a tremendous start. I mean, right there, 1-2 with the San Antonio Spurs in the West. And we lose 6 games, and you would think we've lost momentum. But you look at the standings right now, and we're right back at the top. And that's all predicated on, hard work, the defensive aspect of the game, and offensively finding a rhythm. When we play with our flow and rhythm and score over 100 points, we're pretty much unbeatable.
The depth of the backcourt. Talk about how competitive it is in practice. To keep you guys on your toes.
Yeah, we're very competitive. Some of us are a little older, so we don't go at it as hard, but it's intense. And when you got a guy like Hall of Famer Jason Kidd, he sets the tone and the tempo, for all of us.
And I wanted to ask you too about the Southwest Division. It is just so competitive. I mean, night in, night out. With New Orleans getting better, Memphis getting better, Houston's still there. So, and of course the Spurs, like best record in the West. So talk about those games and how intense they are.
Well, we're very used to it. We are used to having a fierce competition within our own division. You talk about the Western Conference, but then you look into the Southwestern Division, and again, you named it. You got San Antonio Spurs. You never count them out. They're always ready, and the year they're having this year is obvious. Us don't count out New Orleans, Houston, and those are it, man. You got guys. For us, are our rivals. Every time we play a team within our division, it's a rivalry game. So fans are tuning in, guys are hyped up, and it's always going to be a tough challenge.
A very underrated draft was the 1999 draft that you were part of with Sean Marion. So, really talk about the impact those players made. I mean, that lottery was pretty stacked.
We talk about it a lot, and often, myself and Sean, he was number 9, I was number 10. And so it's crazy. Now we're on the same team playing together. Baron Davis was number 2 in that draft. Stevie Francis was no longer number 3, and he was number 1. Lamar Odom, Elton Brand, he was in that draft. Elton Brand was number 1. But, just a talented crop, very blessed group of individuals. And, right now, we're the elder statesmen. It's kind of crazy, and it happens quick. But, we're the wily veterans now in the locker room, giving advice to younger players, but still holding our own out there on the court. And I think we're still going to be around for time to come.
Your dream has come true to be in the NBA for more than 10 years and to play at a high level. So what do you take out of the game when it's all said and done?
Well, you take your memories. You take the memories of being around a group of guys that you became close with. All the long road trips, all the hard work put in on the practice court, and then the in-game things, going to the playoffs, making deep runs, a finals appearance. Those are the things that you take with you. The other thing is the interaction with the fans. Growing up as a young kid in Seattle, Washington, just being a kid at heart and being a fan myself, come to a place like Madison Square Garden tonight and being able to play in an arena like this, and there's tons of them around, but being here tonight is probably something that you'll always remember when you retire.
And one more question I want to ask you. Zona, Sean Miller has brought them back to where, they're having a great season. How happy are you for Sean to be able to bring them back to the promised land of Lute Olson brought them?
Well, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Sean and for the program as a whole. Being back to respectability. We had a run there for a while. I think it was 25-plus years where we made the NCAA tournament. They broke that streak last year, but I think that streak will start a new one this year. It'll be back intact. And I'm going to give you a heads up right now. I will be coaching the University of Arizona in the distant future.
All right, now we're going to look out for that. Recruit my future son, definitely.
Sure, I'll be looking out for him. Good to see you again.
JT, thank you. Pleasure. Greetings. Welcome to So Much to Talk About here, pregame version of the Dallas Mavericks visiting the New York Knickerbockers. My pleasure to have one of the top coaches in the NBA, and his docket speaks for itself, Mr. Rick Carlisle. Pleasure to have you on.
Good to see you. How's everything?
Everything's well.
Good.
Everything's well. Another.
I love your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Check out the YouTube site.
Absolutely. All the time. All the
It's
time.
been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. But I wanted to speak with you about this year. Consistency, once again, a great season so far. Talk about the things you need to improve on for the second half to really make that playoff run and make it to the finals.
Well, health is something we're working on a daily basis. We lost Karan Butler this year to a season-ending injury. We acquired Peja Stojakovic about 10 days ago, but we're going through a process now of getting him rehabbed from a minor knee situation and getting him in condition. And the hope is that when we return from this trip, that he'll be able to join us and start playing, and that would give us a big lift. And then we've got Rodrigue Beaubois, who showed some great flashes for us last year, and he was a big part of our plans this year. But he's been out all year with a broken fifth metatarsal, and so he's getting a little bit closer. So if we can get those two guys back healthy, that certainly is gonna help us.
I was asking Jason Terry about the competitiveness of the Southwest Division, and just talk about how stacked it is, and how you play those teams 3-4 times a year. How those games are really competitive and really could help you get ready for the playoffs.
Well, it's probably the most competitive division in all of sports right now. Because of how good San Antonio is. We're a competitive team. New Orleans is having a great year. Memphis is certainly on the come. And so, every game you're going to play there is tough. Houston, even though they've lost Yao, is very difficult to play. And so it's work. And those games they're grueling games, and a lot of them, because of the rivalries and so forth, are like playoff games. So, that kind of stuff does get you ready for the playoffs.
One more question for you. You've had major success in the NBA, including the Detroit Pistons, which I've always thought you set that team up for that championship for sure. And I wanted to ask you, what is the method that you have to be able to have consistent excellence everywhere you go? How clear is your message to the players and how they respond to it?
Well, it helps to have good players, and I feel like I've had that in all three situations I've been in, but. I'm a believer in the importance of the defensive end, that sets up the rest of your game. Good defense is always going to lead to good offense. You can set a tone in a disposition by being a good defensive team and having that kind of toughness. And it's a way to develop toughness on a team that may or may not be particularly physical, for example, and things like that. So I always feel the defense is a major key. And if you look at history, teams that don't guard don't win championships.
Absolutely. It doesn't lie. History doesn't lie.
That's right.
Well, sir, thank you for your time. Have a great rest of the season, and looking forward to seeing the team tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.